Most people think prison is about doing time. It's not. Time is the background. The real prison is people. The men watching you when you walk in. The men deciding whether you eat in peace. The men deciding whether you sleep safely. The men deciding whether you get ignored or tested. Because prison has its own government, its own economy, its own hierarchy. At the bottom you are weak, unknown, expendable. At the top you may have power, but by then you live inside constant paranoia. You trust no one, you relax never, and every promotion costs a piece of your soul. This is your life as every rank in a prison gang. Norris Pori. You're 19. First day in state prison. The bus ride is silent, not peaceful, dead silent. Men staring at the floor, men staring out the window, men pretending not to be afraid. Then the gates open. Steel, concrete, razor wire. You step off the bus in cheap state boots with a duffel bag and a sentence that suddenly feels a lot longer than it did in court. County jail was noise. This place is pressure. You feel it instantly. The yard isn't loud because it doesn't need to be. Everybody is watching. Who walks in confident? Who looks down? Who moves too fast? Who looks weak? In prison, weakness has a smell, and the predators catch it early. Before you even learn where chow is, somebody asks the first question. Where you from? Not small talk, an assessment. Then the next question. Who you run with? That one matters more, because if the answer is nobody, that means something. It means you're alone. And alone in prison is dangerous. Not because you have freedom, because you have no shield. At chow, you almost sit at the wrong table. A guy taps the bench once and stares. That's enough. You keep walking. You don't know the rules yet. That makes you dangerous to yourself. 3 days later, 2 men call you over in the day room. They're calm. That's what makes it worse. Calm men in prison are usually the ones with power. They ask your name, your case, your people. Then they explain the reality. Nobody survives long in here without structure, without politics, without backing. They don't threaten you. They don't need to. One of them leans back and says, "You can ride with us, or you can learn the hard way." That's not a choice. That's a warning, dressed like an offer. So you say yes. And just like that, you belong to something. Not out of loyalty. Not out of belief. Out of fear. That's how it starts for most men. Not ideology. Not brotherhood. Fear. That night your cellie tells you something in the dark. They didn't protect you. They bought you. You don't sleep much after that. Level 2. The runner. You're 20. 9 months in. You kept your head down. Didn't borrow what you couldn't pay back. Didn't get caught talking to the wrong people. Didn't panic during searches. Now they start using you. Small jobs at first. Carry this note. Pass that message. Stand by the shower and cough if a CO comes. Bring this commissary to cell 213. Collect that envelope from 119. Simple things. Nothing glamorous. Nothing important. That's exactly why they picked you. You're still low enough to be ignored. Officers see a young inmate moving around and think nothing of it. Other inmates see a quiet face and don't notice the work being done. That invisibility is your value. You start learning how prison really works. Who owes who? Which officers search hard? Which officers don't? Which inmates smile too much? Which ones are one bad day away from violence? You realize the loudest men are rarely the real threat. The real danger is the quiet ones, the ones who don't repeat themselves, the ones who never raise their voice. One afternoon you're told to pass a folded note during medical line. Wrong day, wrong timing. A correctional officer steps in front of you, hands on the wall. Your heartbeat goes feral. The note is still in your pocket. You have 1 second to think. You crumple it in your palm and shove it into your mouth while turning to the wall. Paper, ink, dry throat. You swallow. The officer searches you, finds nothing, but he keeps staring like he knows. Back on the tier, the older guy's already heard. News moves faster than official reports in prison. One of them looks at you and nods. Good, you didn't fold. That's the first real approval you get. It feels good, too good. That's how prison starts changing you. You begin craving respect from dangerous men. And once that happens, you're in deeper than you realize. Level 3, the collector. You're 22, 2.5 years down. Now they trust you with uglier work. They hand you a list: names, cell numbers, amounts, noodles, coffee, tobacco, gambling debt, phone debt, protection debt. Every prison runs on debt, and debt has to be collected. Now that's your job. You walk tier to tier collecting store and favors from men who know exactly why you're there. Some pay immediately, no drama. They know the rules. But there's always one. There's always a man who thinks he can stall. A guy in 108 says he needs more time. You tell him count clears at 7. He says fine. At 7, no payment. At 7:15 you return with 2 others. No speeches, no negotiation, no moral lesson. The first punch lands before he fully stands up. He slips on the floor and crashes into the toilet. Knee to the ribs, boot to the shoulder. One of the other guys slams his head into the sink. 10 seconds, maybe 12. Then it's over. Blood in the corner of his mouth, one eye swelling shut. You leave without saying anything. The next morning, his cousin pays the debt plus extra. That's prison math. Pain adds interest. You start doing this weekly. Soon men see you coming and check their lockers before you even speak. You stop being just another inmate. Now you're a problem people want to avoid. That comes with perks. Extra food, better shoes through trade. Priority at the phone. People move when you walk through. In prison, comfort is luxury. And you finally have some. But it costs you. Staff watches you harder. Rivals mark your face. And every collection makes violence easier the next time. That's the worst part. Not the blood. The numbness. The way a beating starts feeling routine. Level 4. The soldier. You're 24. This is where it changes. You're not just enforcing debt now. You're enforcing politics. Your muscle. A soldier. When something needs to happen, your name comes up. Somebody stole from your people. Handle it. Somebody insulted an older member in Chow. Handle it. A rival group pressed one of your recruits in the shower. Handle it. Orders are short in prison because details don't matter. Only outcomes do. You train constantly now. Push-ups on concrete. Dips off the bunk. Shadowboxing in a cell barely big enough to turn around in. Because in prison, readiness is survival. The yard can go from routine to war in 4 seconds. One afternoon it does. You're on rec, sun out. Men walking laps. A basketball bouncing somewhere near the fence. Then everything changes. 3 guys from another car move at once. Not running. Not yelling. Just moving with purpose. That's enough. You already know. By the time the first punch lands, the whole yard is erupting. Bodies colliding. Men slipping on concrete dust. Officers screaming. Someone goes down near the pull-up bars and doesn't get up fast enough. You swing because stopping means losing. And losing in a prison riot doesn't just mean getting hurt. It means your whole group looks weak. Later you're cuffed on the ground with pepper spray burning your face raw. Blood on your sleeve, knee throbbing. Across the yard, one of your shot callers catches your eye and gives a tiny nod. That nod means more than pain medication ever will. You proved you'll go when called. That's how men rise in prison. Not by talking tough, by moving when violence starts. Level 5. The enforcer. You're 27. Now younger guys get brought to you for discipline. That's different. Hurting rivals is easy to justify. Hurting your own people is harder. But prison gangs survive on rules. And rules only matter if breaking them hurts. A young recruit gets caught gambling gang commissary. Not his own. Gang store. That makes it serious. Everybody gathers in the shower area after lockdown clears. No audience outside your people. No unnecessary noise. Just judgment. The kid is shaking before anyone touches him. He keeps saying it was a mistake, that he was going to pay it back, that he panicked. Nobody cares, because if he gets away with it, everybody sees weakness in the system. And if the system looks weak, the whole gang starts slipping. So he gets punished. Not killed, not crippled, just broken enough to remember. When it's done, he can barely stand. He looks at you like he hates you. Maybe he does. Doesn't matter. The lesson isn't for him. It's for everyone watching. That's what power in prison really is. Public consequence. Private rot. You sit in more meetings now. You hear about transfers, contraband, racial tensions, old grudges restarting in new facilities, money moving between yards. You don't hear everything, only the parts your rank allows. But now you understand the scale. This isn't random violence. It's organization, an underground management system built inside cages. You also understand something darker. The gang doesn't care whether you're good, only whether you're useful. That realization stays with you because one day you won't be useful, and you know exactly what happens to men after that. Level 6, the unit rep. You're 30. You run a housing unit now. Not officially. Officially, some sergeant with a ring of keys runs it. Reality is different. You decide where your people sit, who gets access to which phones, who can hold certain jobs, who has to put in work, which rumors matter, which debts are valid, which insults need blood, and which can be talked down. You're no longer reacting to violence. You're managing it. That sounds powerful. It isn't. It's exhausting, because every problem reaches you. A theft in one cell, a disrespect issue in Chow, a recruit talking too much to the wrong race, a missing weapon, a sudden lockdown after staff finds contraband in a vent. Everybody wants answers. Everybody wants your decision. And every decision creates enemies. One night the unit feels wrong, too quiet. You can sense it. Men tying shoes tighter, whispers at the bars, extra movement near the showers. By lights out, you know what's happening. A racial conflict is about to explode. If it does, the whole yard burns. Stabbings, lockdowns, transfers, years of retaliation. So you send word, fast, controlled. By midnight, there's a meeting in the laundry room between representatives from 3 groups. No officers, no paperwork, just prison politics. Men pretending to stay calm while calculating body counts in their heads. You settle it. Barely. Not because anyone likes peace. Because war is expensive. That's what leadership becomes in prison. Economics of pain. How much blood is worth the message? How much chaos can your side afford? Nobody outside understands that. They think prison gangs are all rage. They're not. The successful ones are patient, cold, strategic. You sleep lighter after that night. Because now if a war starts, your name will be attached to the first rumor about why. Level 7. The shot caller. You're 34. Long sentence. Maximum security. By now your body carries the record of your rise. Scar over one eyebrow. 2 bad knuckles. A shoulder that clicks when you rotate it. You don't do the dirty work often anymore. Now you approve it. Men bring you problems all day. Debts, recruitment, discipline, retaliation, politics with rivals, politics inside your own people. That second category is worse. Outside enemies are simple. Inside ambition is not. You learn to speak less. That's important. The higher you rise in prison, the quieter you get. Loose talk gets repeated. Repeated talk gets twisted. Twisted words get men hurt. So you ask questions. You watch reactions. You let silence make people nervous. You route orders through layers. One man carries the message. Another confirms it. A third watches how the target reacts. Distance keeps you alive, at least for a while. You also start thinking less like an inmate and more like a manager of pressure. Who can be trusted with responsibility? Who's too emotional? Who's hungry enough to rise? Who's dangerous enough to remove before they rise too far? That's the ugly truth at the top. You spend more time thinking about your own people than your enemies. Because betrayal almost never comes from across the yard. It comes from the table you sit at. A young recruit asks you one day if being shot caller is worth it. You look at him for a long second. Worth it. You haven't sat with your back fully exposed in years. You haven't taken a peaceful shower in a decade. You don't sleep through the night. You don't trust loyalty. You don't trust laughter. You don't trust men who agree too fast. But you still tell him, do your job and don't worry about rank. Because truth doesn't help prison function. Control does. Level 8, the old head. You're 41. You've outlived men who were stronger, younger, meaner, faster. That makes you important and vulnerable. At this level, you're not just a leader, you're history. You remember who owed what from 10 years ago, who switched sides, who froze in a riot, who kept their mouth shut in the hole. Memory is power in prison, because everybody lies. About loyalty, about orders, about who started what. You remember, that gives you authority. The younger guys study you. The middle ranks consult you. They think age means peace. It doesn't. Age in prison means you have more to lose and fewer physical advantages to defend it with. Your knees ache on cold mornings. Your reflexes aren't what they were on your third bid. And the young wolves notice everything. A slow rise from the bunk, a hand touching the rail, a pause before standing. That's how power starts slipping, not in one dramatic moment, in inches. One night, a trusted rep brings you news. A younger enforcer has been talking, saying the gang needs younger blood at the top, saying old heads get soft, saying maybe the future needs a transition. That word lands like a blade, because in prison, transition means removal. Removal usually means blood. You don't react outwardly. You ask where he said it, who heard it, who repeated it. Then you sit alone on the edge of your bunk after count. And for the first time in years, you feel old. Not weak. Old. You spent 2 decades building order through fear. Now fear is climbing back up toward you. That's the curse of prison power. You create the kind of men who eventually come for your seat. Level 9, the fall. Maybe they hit you in the yard. Maybe it happens during transfer when your routine changes. Maybe administration buries you in solitary after an investigation, and your own people decide distance equals weakness. Doesn't matter. The result is the same. Your world shrinks. Concrete walls, steel door, slot for food, no meetings, no table, no whisper network, no men waiting for your decision. Just silence. And silence is brutal after a life built on tension. Because now there's nothing to distract you from memory. You replay faces, beatings, orders, punishments, men who got stabbed because you approved it, young recruits you hardened, rivals you dehumanized, friends you stopped calling friends because rank didn't allow softness. And eventually you realize something. The gang never freed you. It just gave your fear a uniform. At the bottom you were scared of being prey. At the top you were scared of being replaced. Different rank. Same cage. That's the tragedy. Men think power inside prison makes them bigger. It doesn't. It reduces them. It turns their whole existence into concrete, hierarchy and survival. You've spent years climbing, only to end up in a room too small to pace in. Level 10. The replacement. But the gang survives. It always survives, because gangs are built to outlive individuals. The collector becomes the soldier becomes the enforcer becomes the rep becomes the shot caller, and somewhere right now another 19-year-old is stepping off a bus carrying a state duffel bag and pretending he isn't terrified. He walks onto the unit. Men look him over. One asks where he's from. Another asks who he rides with. He says nobody. For now, a week later, he's sitting at a metal table, listening to rules he never wanted to need. A month later, he's carrying messages. A year later, he's collecting debts. And one day, he'll be the man deciding who gets punished for failing. That's what a prison gang really is. Not brotherhood, not honor, not loyalty. A machine, a ladder built out of fear, hunger, race, violence, and need. It gives you protection at first, then it makes you pay for it forever. Every favor becomes debt. Every debt becomes duty. Every duty becomes another step deeper. Until one day you wake up and realize you're no longer surviving prison. You are helping prison run itself. The doors still slam. The count still clears. The yard still opens. The orders still move. And no matter who falls, someone younger steps into the space they left behind. That's the real horror of it. Not that the cycle is violent, that the cycle is normal. And inside those walls, normal is the most dangerous thing of all.